Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Techno Talks here. So in front of us today we do have the iPhone 16 Pro and the newly released OnePlus 13R, and we're going to go ahead and do a nice little speed test between these two devices. So quickly going through what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and do a boot up test, and then we're going to launch some apps, and then we're going to do the RAM management test by relaunching those apps to see if all the apps have stayed open. And in the end, we're going to go ahead and run two benchmarks, one Geekbench and then one 3D Mark benchmark, and we'll just compare those results and end the video off there. So let's go ahead and begin. Starting off the specs on the iPhone 16 Pro, we do have the A18 Pro chipset, and we also do have 8 GB of RAM. As for the 13R, we do have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset, so last year's flagship chipset, and we also do have 12 GB RAM. Both of these phones run perfectly. Both these phones are super smooth, and I believe both these phones will be very close with each other. However, most of these results don't really mean anything in day-to-day usage, but again, I can tell you both these devices are a great daily user. So let's go ahead and begin with our boot up test in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see which one opens up first. Here we have the Apple logo, and here we have the OnePlus logo. Go ahead and wait for these to boot up. Alright, still nothing. Both the devices are still powering on. A new animation on the OnePlus 13R. And boom, the OnePlus 13R has booted up. And now the iPhone 16 Pro has booted up as well. So both these devices super fast at booting up. Alright, so now that both the devices have booted up, here's a look at the apps that we have. I did go ahead and update both these devices. I did update all the apps. I went ahead and actually did this test before starting this video. And then I also went ahead and turned off the mobile data on the iPhone, because someone did previously note in a different video, they went ahead and left a comment down below where I had the mobile data on for one of the devices and the other one didn't have it, and so that might have affected it in regards to the apps that actually are using Wi-Fi connection or internet connection to log in. So again, both connect to the same Wi-Fi. Right now they should have no differences. So let's go ahead and begin. Alright, so we do have some stock apps. Go ahead and start with those. Calculator in 3, 2, 1. Alright, that's going to be the OnePlus 13. Calendar. That's going to be the iPhone 16 Pro. Clock. I think that was the 16 Pro. Camera. Not exactly sure which one opened up first. I think that was the 16 Pro just by a tad bit. And then flipping it around, that is going to be the OnePlus 13R. Instagram. Okay, let's see. I think that was the 13R. X. Let's see, that is going to be the 13R. Groupon. I think that was the iPhone 16 Pro this time. ESPN. Let's see which one loads the video in first. And that is going to be the 13R. The iPhone is still trying to load that video in. Amazon. Okay. Not exactly sure right there. I think that was a tie. They were both loading up something in the end. eBay. That is going to be the iPhone. YouTube. That is going to be the 13R. Chipotle. I think that was the iPhone. And now moving on to our games. Smash Road 1 to 2. See, game mode on, game engine turned on. That is going to be the iPhone. And then closing this out, Temple Run 2. Okay, it does seem like the OnePlus loaded in the first animation, but they're still loading into the game, and that is going to be the 13R. So let's go ahead and start this, go ahead and get them to play. All right, moving on to Asphalt. Again, game engine turned on, game mode turned on. And let's see, that is going to be the 13R just by a very small amount. Dead Trigger 2, which is our final game. That's going to be the OnePlus 13R for the loading screen. And now clicking play in 3, 2, 1. Let's see, I think that is the 13R. Yes, it does seem like the 13R has taken it. So it's going to wait for this to load in. And OnePlus 13R has taken most of these apps. Honestly, very nice and smooth device, performs really well. And again, even though this is their mid-range device, unlike the 13, which is their flagship device, especially for the price point that you're getting this phone for, honestly, I think this is a steal. So now doing a RAM management test. Let's go ahead and go through our apps. Okay, I think that was like a reload or a refresh on the 13R. Camera did flip around for the iPhone, so that's not too important. X, all right, everything's so far so good. Groupon, that's a reload right there. ESPN, another reload. Amazon, another reload. I did actually go ahead and check the optimization settings for the 13R. There was a RAM optimization mode, and that is something you can't really turn off. It's like this own setting. It's just there, but you can't click it. However, it does have its RAM plus turned on, so basically it uses memory to keep more RAM as well. But unfortunately, that is going to be another reload right there. And now another reload. Temple Run 2, another reload. Go ahead and go back to our apps. Asphalt, again, another reload. Finally, Dead Trigger 2, again a reload. So honestly, this time around, the 13R is a little bit disappointing. On a previous test with the 13R, it did reload some of the apps. However, it was not this much that time around. And again, I did check the optimization settings, so everything should be fine with the 13R. However, the iPhone does take it with the lower amount of RAM, 8 GB RAM. But again, that is because iOS is a little more optimized, so iOS has been known for using less RAM. But with 12 GB RAM plus, I believe the 8 GB of extra RAM it uses from the storage, honestly, the 13R should have been able to keep everything open. Like the 13, for example, it does have 16 GB of RAM, but again, with the plus that this has, it should have been able to keep those open. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to do that, so that is going to be a loss for the 13R. Okay, so all of our apps are closed from the background, and now we can move on to our Geekbench 6 benchmark. So here we're going to go ahead and run a CPU benchmark. I'll go ahead and run the CPU benchmark on both these devices, and once this is over, we'll go ahead and examine those scores. Now that both of the tests have been concluded, let's go ahead and examine these scores. So starting off with the 13R, our single core is going to be 2,174. As for the single core on our 16 Pro, that's going to be 3,471. Moving on to the multi-core, 6,483 and 8,663. So just looking at a benchmark, the 16 Pro is going to be the more powerful device. That is true in some cases, especially probably in gaming. I haven't really had the chance to test that out too much. But again, day-to-day usage, and in 95% of things, you really won't be able to tell a difference. And that's why these benchmarks aren't always the whole picture. So now we're going to move on to our 3D Mark benchmark. We're going to go ahead and do a Wildlife Extreme stress test, if I can find it right here. All right, Wildlife Extreme stress test. We'll go ahead and start this test. And once this test is over, just like the Geekbench 6 scores, we'll go ahead and examine those. So I'll see you in a bit. Now that the tests have finished, I am seeing some pretty interesting scores. So taking a look at the best loop score for the 13R, we do have a 4,900. As for the iPhone 16 Pro, we have a 4,473. So that is going to be a lower score than the 13R. The lowest loop score is going to be 3,446, and on the iPhone it's going to be 2,752. So again, that is still lower than the 13R. As for the stability, the iPhone does have a worse stability at 61.5%, and the 13R is pretty stable at 70.3%. Down here we can see where each loop was. We have a nice little graph right here, and we can also see the score for each of the loops right down here, which is good to know. Going down, here's our performance range, performance monitoring, and at our performance monitoring, we can take a look at our battery. So for the iPhone, we did lose 10% from 55 to 45. As for the 13R, we went from 53 to 38, which is a 15% decrease, so a little more than the iPhone. The temperature was 33 to 46 on the 13R. We can't see the temperature on the 16 Pro, however, they are pretty warm, so they're probably very similar. The frame rate, 15 to 36 on the 13R and 8 to 34 on the 16 Pro. So from this benchmark right here, it seems like the 13R is the better device. But again, as I stated, just like the benchmark, Geekbench 6 benchmark, these tests aren't everything. It's not the whole picture. Again, both of these devices are beasts, and they are both very good performing devices. So that is basically going to be it. As you saw, our app launching, our RAM management, everything went great. The RAM management test was taken by the iPhone. App launching was just a tad bit better on the 13R. And then benchmarks, Geekbench 6, the iPhone, and 3D Mark by the 13R. So that is basically going to wrap it up for this video. As always, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and see y'all in the next one.